It's not the fact that you feel bad that your manifestation won't come in. It's the fact that you believe your manifestation won't come in when you feel bad. And so then when you feel bad, that triggers your belief system, which signals to your subconscious mind that things are not going to change and your desires are not going to manifest. If you're feeling bad, it doesn't mean you're going to manifest a bad day. If you're feeling anxiety, it doesn't mean you're going to manifest to be anxious for the rest of your life. What matters most is the meanings that you attach to things. And we're going to get into, I don't want to give too much information in this video because it's just going to be overwhelming, to be honest. Like, this has been information overload for me, and it's happened with me in stages. But this video, I want to focus on shifting the meaning that you're giving things, because that is how you manifest. You manifest from, like, your reality is literally just a mirror of the meaning that you're assigning to things. And I see so many people running around with all these disempowering meanings, and you can have two people who have been dealt the exact same hand in life, and the outcomes that they get are completely different, solely because the meaning that they gave that unlucky hand or that bad hand, they gave it a more empowering meaning. They made it mean something different, so their reality then turned out different. Give you an example of somebody who's been let go from their job. Person A says, this means I'm incompetent, this means I'm stupid, this means I'm never going to get a job again, this means nobody likes me. What do you think the reality of that person is going to look like because they've assigned that meaning to something? It's going to look pessimistic. It's going to look like probably like a downward spiral. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be optimistic. There's going to be very little hope. And, you know, there might be some bad habits flowing all from this meaning that they attach to something. Whereas person B, they might get let go from their job, but they, maybe at first they're a bit upset, but eventually they decide, okay, I'm gonna tell a different story about what's just happened, because this one doesn't empower me, and I'm gonna say, you know what, I've been wanting to leave that job for years, this is just the push that I needed, now this is an opportunity for me to go out and do something that's more empowering for me. And that person's reality, person B's reality, is going to look totally different than person A's reality because of the meaning that they assign to the circumstances in their life. And I betcha, I guarantee you, and this is something that just clicked in my brain recently, and I've kind of known it, but I never actually put it into words. Successful people who seem to just be lucky, seem to have everything, you know, just turn out okay for them, I bet you they are all operating on a similar system in terms of the meanings that they're giving to things. So it's not that one group of people doesn't go through failure or hardships. It's just that that group of people gives those failures, those hardships, those challenges different meanings. And so their reality responds differently. What they perceive in the reality is totally different because of the lens of the meaning that they're putting on it. Likewise, if somebody, it seems like the world is always against them, they're always having things happen to them that are just kind of disastrous, like disaster just follows them everywhere, they can't seem to catch a break. I know people like that, we all know people like that. I used to be someone like that, and I eventually realized that I'm gonna have to start telling myself a more empowering story, even if you don't believe it. Because when you get into a cycle as a more negative person of catastrophizing, always being a victim, these types of things, you're never going to change this cycle that you're in with reality. You're always going to get similar outcomes in your reality. It's a perpetual cycle. And I guarantee you, all the people that are experiencing that kind of negative version of reality, or like the world is against them, they can't catch a break, I guarantee you they are all assigning similar meanings to things. And also people who have a lot of anxiety and stuff are also assigning similar meanings to things. So you get my point, meanings are important. So as a little shortcut, I want to share with you some meaning shifts that you can incorporate, okay? So when certain things happen in life, instead of saying what you've always said, you can start to incorporate these more empowering interpretations of the events in your life, because you can't change the events themselves sometimes, but you can change the meanings. And I'm gonna share with you some of the meanings that have literally transformed the way that I look at things, which has transformed the reality that I am experiencing. First of all, you need to be aware when something happens that brings your vibration down, you have to notice have to be aware of your emotions, first of all. A lot of people aren't even aware of how they're feeling. But if you notice that you're feeling particularly low or bad or like angry or hopeless, pay attention to what you're saying to yourself when something happens to get you in that mood or when you get in that mood. Pay attention to the things that you're telling yourself when you're upset, when you're angry, or whatever it is. What meaning are you giving to things that are happening in your life? And start just noticing it. That is always the first step, is awareness. You have to start noticing the stories that you're telling yourself every single day. Once you do that, you can interrupt that, right? So say you're at a coffee shop. This actually happened to me, and it was so annoying. I was well into this kind of self-growth journey, so I was like, what is going on? I should have known. I went through a phase in my life where every single time I would go to a cafe, I would give my order and I would be forgotten about. And it kind of led me to build up like this kind of resentful attitude towards baristas. This is so niche, but this can be applied to anything. I would go into the coffee shop, make my order. Obviously it happened the first time and I was like, wow, that was really annoying, but it was fine. They just forgot about me and they had to go and like, they skipped me and they gave everyone else their coffees. And I was like, wow, that was annoying, but whatever. It happened again like 4 times after that. So about 5 times in a row. And I started obviously walking into coffee shops and I started attaching like a really negative feeling towards ordering coffee. And like, I used to love doing that, towards going into a coffee shop, ordering a coffee. And I used to look like at the baristas and be like, oh, you're so useless. I'm obviously just a forgettable face. And I noticed that these thoughts were coming in and I was like, Katie, that's not nice about the barista and it's not nice about you. Like, what? I didn't realize how much I was internalizing the things that happened and the negative, disempowering meaning that I was giving to that like silly little event, which obviously perpetuated it happening again and again and again. Whatever little things come up, just notice what you're telling yourself. The kind of goal with this is you want to get yourself out of despair. You want to move up this frequency ladder. So if you're in despair, you want to maybe get from despair to, I don't know what's next, sadness. Sadness is better than despair. Then if you can get out of sadness to anger, that's better. Then try to get into curiosity. That's always a good one. Or humor. That's a good one because it kind of breaks the emotional tension. So whatever meanings you can start to give yourself that will move you from these negative emotions into more empowering ones are really good. Meaning number 1, when things are falling apart in your life, okay? Things have fallen apart for me so many times that this is autopilot for me. It's very hard when you're going through things. I'm not downplaying that. And sometimes you just have to feel your feelings and be sad and process things, and that's fine. And I actually think sometimes hard times, you can include this maybe in this section because I haven't written this down. Sometimes I think that hard times happen and kind of bring up old wounds and bring up negative or bad emotions so that we can process things that maybe we haven't processed before, so that we can evolve and ascend, which does tie into this first point. So when things are falling apart, this is always the go-to question. How is it serving me? How is it serving me? I know it's difficult. I know it's hard, but how is it serving me? You want to avoid things like saying you're a victim, that this is just your life, anything that is making it about you or making it like permanent. Avoid. Do not say those things to yourself because you're going to create a mental prison for yourself, which is just not good. So when things are falling apart, you want to look at it maybe as like character building. So like all the coolest, best characters always go through the most shit. So just think of how cool your character is going to be because you're going through this shit. That's a nice way to look at it. It means you're growing. What are you learning? And also, like I said a minute ago, you're getting prepared to receive more and evolve to the next level. That is always a thing that comforts me. And I'll be like maybe a few days into maybe things falling apart or things not being very good in my life or feeling really off. I'll be a couple of days in and I'll catch myself kind of wallowing a little bit and I'll be like, oh, this is happening because maybe I asked for something. And this is actually how this works, and it's incredible to remember this when you're in a hard time. When you ask for something for the universe and you're not a match to it yet vibrationally, it will send you challenges and things to test you. And when you pass those tests, you will have evolved the level of frequency that you need to actually be a match to that desire. So if you were a match, you would have it. You're getting tested. This is the test. And I know you can't see the test when you're in the test, but just know it's a test. Like, I know you can't see the bigger picture, but you literally can think back on your life, on things that you've been through, and realize that, okay, I actually had to go through that to get what I ultimately desired, or to become who I wanted to become, whatever it was, to get your manifestation, to get your wish, to grow. And you can't see the plan. You can't see the plan. That's the problem. You're down here, you're like a little tiny pawn. You can't see it, but it's for your greater good. And you have to remind yourself of that as much as you can, as hard as it is. You don't have to look at it and be like, what exactly is the lesson? I need to figure out the lesson now. You're probably not going to figure it out until you've just gone through it. So you have to kind of just go through it, but know that it's for a greater purpose. If something maybe happened that you're kind of embarrassed about, or that you're dwelling on, you kind of have to remember that everyone you know is going to die, and you're also going to die. So like, this really is not that serious. And just kind of stretching things out over a time horizon and saying, well, like, in a year, is it going to matter? In a few months, is it even going to matter? Probably not, so it doesn't matter now. And realizing as well, like, especially in terms of something embarrassing, you can sit there and be like, I'm so embarrassed, I'm so this. It's only embarrassing if you say it's embarrassing. And you need to realize that when you internalize things and when you make things mean something about you, you're the only person making it mean something about you. Nobody else is making it mean something about you except for you. So you have the power to stop making it mean something about you. Try to get present, focus on what's good, like in the present moment, get hyper present. And when you're feeling the negative emotions in the moment, like, feel your emotions, but instead of kind of saying, so this is, again, goes back to like the words that you speak or the house that you live in. Instead of saying like, I'm so fucking fed up, I fucking hate my life, just say, and I've done this and I've been like, this is not true, but I'm just a little tired. I'm just a little tired. Yeah, I'm just a little tired. You want to break the habit of exaggerating your complaining about your life, because that makes it worse. You're giving yourself disempowering meanings for things. You have to kind of downplay. Try to make things funny. Try to make things lighthearted with your words. And that will signal to your brain, okay, it's not that bad. And it will take some of the sting out of these negative emotions. It will take some of the weight out of it. The whole thing with people who have this mindset, they really see life as a game. So when things are bad, it's not that serious. It's a game. We're all going to die. It's fine. Things are temporary, and hard times are literally just character building. People who have a very positive frame and good subconscious beliefs and a good sense of self, they literally just know when someone rejects them, or when they don't get a job offer, or some opportunity passes them up. It's like, yes, great, that means something even better is coming. Like, it's automatic. And that's the meaning that they attach to rejection or something not being for them. Whereas somebody who has a very negative frame, they will see that as meaning that they're hopeless, that they're never going to find a relationship or a job or whatever. Do you see how different those two paradigms would make you feel and would make you act? Because it's all connected. It's all connected. It starts with what you tell yourself, and then that floods into your subconscious. Eventually your subconscious dictates what comes into your reality, how you act, and what you do in your life. If you tell yourself anytime that you have a missed opportunity, or you're rejected or whatever, that you're literally just one step closer to finding what's actually for you, and that nothing that is for you would ever pass you, and everything that's meant for you will come to you, and just trusting, then that is what you will have in your life. It always means that better is coming. This goes back to making things that mean something about you. This is particularly when you're like around other people, or people are just acting like weird or shady or bitchy or whatever towards you. People with like a strong frame, who are really good manifestors, really positive people, successful people, they do not internalize other people's shit. They have boundaries where they're like, okay, that's your shit, that's nothing to do with me. You can, okay, there's a line with this where you don't want to be delusional, where you're not taking accountability for anything. Like if you're actually doing something where it's upsetting somebody, obviously that's different. But a lot of the time, people, how they're acting in reference to you is just a projection of how they feel about themselves. Let's say, for example, this actually happened to me once. So let's say you run into somebody that you know and they're acting really like detached. They don't want to talk to you. Like they just have no interest in talking to you at all. You could go away from that encounter and be like, did I do something? They definitely heard like a rumor about me. Like they hate me. They're definitely talking about me behind my back. This means that I'm no good. Or you could go away from that and be like, they must be having a bad day. Hope they feel better soon. If you have no evidence that you've done anything wrong and you know you've kind of done nothing wrong, don't attach meanings to things that make you feel bad about yourself when you have no reason to. It's more likely that that person is just projecting what's going on with them. So if they're acting kind of weird, they could just be having a bad day. They could have social anxiety. You just never know what's going on with people. Someone could have passed away for all you know. You just don't know. So do not ever internalize anything as meaning that there's something bad or wrong with you, unless you know you've done something wrong. So those are the main ones that I've kind of incorporated into my life. Another one off the top of my head is, you know, when you're waiting for something and like you're asking for something to come in and it's just not manifesting, and you're being so good and you're being so persistent and it's just not coming in. I like to tell myself it's because what's coming is going to be even better than what I asked for, and I'm being prepared for that. So if you feel like, why isn't it here yet? I'm a match. I like to say, if you had gotten the thing when you wanted it, you would have wasted it, you would have spoiled it, something would have happened, and you wouldn't have been able to embrace it as fully as the universe wants you to. And so you're going to get the thing that you want at the best possible time. So you don't need to worry about when something's going to happen for you. You can just trust. Little bit delulu, but it works. Over time, when you start to notice the meanings you're giving to things, the stories that you're telling yourself, you start to interrupt them and you start to reframe them, it becomes second nature, and that's when your subconscious mind gets rewired, and that's when your whole life literally changes. You know, people like to talk about vision boards, affirmations, everything like that. Nothing works on the same level as reprogramming your subconscious mind. Those things are good tools. It's like putting a stick in the ground and saying like, this is where I want to go. But those tools should guide your behavior. If you are living and breathing lack and you're trying to manifest abundance, it will not manifest just from you saying an affirmation. So your affirmations are like guiding sticks. If you're going to say an affirmation, you have to follow that up with thoughts and actions in line with that. So what would somebody who has that abundance think? What would they say? And even if your circumstances are not ideal, again, downplay them. Like I just said, just say, okay, things are a little bit difficult at the moment, but that is changing quickly and dramatically. And I'm so excited because this is the last time I will ever worry about money. Things like that. Whatever you're doing, just flip it, downplay it, start to kind of just play with it a little bit. And you'll be so surprised how quickly that starts to shift what you're seeing in your reality. This can go back as well to if you're holding on to things from the past. So it can be really tricky to let go of some things if the meaning that we're giving to those things is serving us in some way. And okay, so if you're very like attached to your ex, or you find it really hard to let go of a relationship and you just want to let go but you can't, it's because you're telling yourself a story about that. that is serving you in some way. So you may think I'm crazy by saying that, but like maybe part of your identity is wrapped up in that. Maybe you're enjoying being like a victim because you feel like it justifies maybe someone did you wrong. And this is the big thing. If there was a situation where you were done wrong in your life, which it's terrible, it happens to everybody, if you find it really hard to let that go, it's because you want to stay in victim mode so that it justifies how bad the thing that someone did to you is. So that's why it feels nice to stay in victim mode. It almost is like, what you did to me was so bad that I still am affected by it. And if you let it go, you're scared that like, oh, it's going to seem like it's not that bad. Like nobody's going to know how bad it is. But the only person you're hurting by staying in victim mode is yourself. Because you can't be a vibrant, abundant, powerful, empowered person if you're also acting as a victim. They just go against each other completely. So realize that you're not going to lose anything by getting out of victim mode. First, realize that you're in victim mode. I know it's hard to come to terms with that. I've done it enough times myself, but realize as well that you're not gonna lose anything by leaving victim mode. In fact, you have everything to gain, and the best thing you can ever do for yourself is alchemize anything negative that's happened to you and turn it into something really beautiful and positive. People have been through the worst things ever, like the worst things, and they've turned it around and alchemized it into amazing, powerful things just by changing the meaning that was attached to it. So you have people that have survived, like I think it was like a Tony Robbins seminar, and this, oh my God, this poor woman, she was in this like church, basically, you know those stories where it's just like gut-wrenching amounts of trauma. Like she never knew peace as a child, she never knew love, she never knew joy, all she knew was abuse, and it was just horrific. And she came up and spoke at that Tony Robbins seminar, and she was like, I'm so, like, I have to be strong now, and I just don't see the point. I don't see any meaning. Everything that she went through, understandably, made her feel like there was no point to anything, like there was no good in the world, and that life was just kind of pointless. That was the meaning that she got from that, which you can understand how you would get that meaning if that was your whole life, pretty much, up until recent years. You can understand how someone can attach that meaning to life when that was their experience. And basically what happened, I don't know where she is now, and I don't want to obviously quote something that's not true, but this is what I remember. Basically what happened was, and what he does with a lot of people, and what a lot of these turnaround stories involve, is she used that pain, and she used everything that she's been through and the depth of that pain. She used that to kind of bring out an inner strength that she could share with people that had been in a similar position, to help them get out of it and help them get through it. And that's what gave her meaning, and that's what gave her strength. So you can literally alchemize anything. You can look at things that have happened to you, if you find them really hard to let go, and you can make it your kind of origin story, and you can say, well, actually, you know, it doesn't mean that life sucks and it's meaningless and whatever. It means that I'm now so strong and I'm in such a powerful position that I can help other people on such a deep level. Like, it was terrible and it was awful, but it made me someone who can do X, Y, Z because I went through that. Change the meaning. Until you change the meanings, you're going to keep getting the same results. And if you keep firing and wiring the same old patterns every single day, your life is just going to look the same. Other thing that can help, this is my last point, with your like belief about what's possible for you to create. I know it can feel a little bit like you're trapped in the prison of your mind, and sometimes it can be hard to actually believe in manifestation and everything. If you look into just basic quantum physics, you realize what a crazy like world this is that we live in, and how reality really is created through us. I was reading something this morning. There's another book, Biocentrism, that will blow your mind. Basically, we are the vessel for reality to exist. Like, things don't exist until we perceive them. And there's so many things that scientists have looked at in terms of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and Joe Dispenza's work as well, that like when you realize the depth of everything, 99.9% of things is just like empty space or frequency. And so like 0.0001 is what we actually see. So if we can get beyond all these stories that we've been telling ourselves and get into the unknown, get into just letting go of the past so you can be hyper present, then you can start to draw from that quantum field of the unknown and you can start to create your reality. I hope this video helped. This is kind of a good first step. I found it so overwhelming when I first started manifesting. I was like, what do I even focus on? Because there's so much. Start by focusing on the meanings that you're giving things, and then everything will just kind of unfold from there.